Hello once again. I'm very excited for today's video. Today's video is another installment on my series exploring the Northern Telecom Norstar office telephone system, exploring all its features, capabilities, and how to use them. I mentioned at the end of the last installment that I had purchased a lot of phones for cheap from eBay, and they are in this box. The package arrived today, all the way from Quebec, which isn't very far away. It's about a 4-hour drive away. And in today's video, we're going to unbox the phones and make sure everything's okay, and we'll explore the phones because these are phone models that I don't own until now. We've explored two models of Norstar phones. That's the M7324 phone, which has 10 programmable keys, as well as 12 two-position programmable keys that can be used for speed dial numbers or as feature keys, although they don't have feature indicators. And then the other phone I have is the pedestrian M7208 phone, probably the most common Norstar phone because it was the most used phone. It was the most appropriate model for what people used Norstar systems for. It's got 8 programmable keys and a single line display with no soft keys. And the 4 phones in this package, 2 of one model, 2 of another, they are models I haven't owned yet. So I'm really excited to open this. So without further ado, let's do that. Hopefully they were packed adequately and survived okay. So we'll cut it open here. Little side note about this pocket knife. This was my dad's pocket knife. It was recovered by a family friend after he passed away. And 6 years later, that family friend sharpened it and then gave it to me as a Christmas gift, which it means a lot to me, and I really like this knife. I own several pocket knives, but this is my go-to knife. I like the wood on the sides, very nice. This is really a two-handed job, but I'll see what I can do here. Okay. Alright, let's see how everything arrived. Okay, I see bubble, I see paper. Good. Oh, there they are. Or there's one anyway. So that is one telephone. And it's got the handset attached to it. There's the handset, or receiver rather. I'm trying to get used to calling it a receiver. I believe that's the more proper name. Handset is a name that, I figured was appropriate, but I've called, whenever, there's been an occasion where I called it a handset and people thought I was talking about a headset and they called it a receiver, so I think maybe receiver's the more appropriate term. Okay, this is the other one of this model of phone, and it's got the handset. Receiver, son of a gun. Okay. Alright. There's another one. And it's got the receiver. Cord's in a knot. I'll have to undo that later. Throw some packing material out of the way. And phone number 4. And there it is. Handset must be still in the box. Receiver. And there's the receiver, and this is the one with the weird ergonomic thing, which by the looks of it, I figured it was a totally different receiver where this ergonomic part was a part of the actual mold, but it looks like it's just stuck on there. So I could actually peel this off and remove it. Oh, that's very good. Yeah, and I will do that. So that'll save me having to buy another receiver. Not that I'll use all 4 of these phones anyway. I actually only have plans to hook one up right now. And then, yes. The bag of keys that they come with. Oh, look at that. Ziploc bag of Oh gosh, there must be a couple hundred keys in here. Some of them are French, some of them are English. And they appear to be all programmable keys. I don't see any hold or release keys. I was hoping I'd maybe get some hold or release keys to replace the ones on my other Norstar phones whose hold and release keys were came from a Norstar literature pack, and the quality of the key and the coloring doesn't seem to be as good as keys which come with Norstar phones. So I was hoping there might be some hold and release keys in here, but there doesn't seem to be, but that's okay. Actually, I'll talk more about that at the end of the video. And that's your lot. They were well packed. Very good. Very happy to see that. Let me clean this up, get the phones all sorted out, get that cord unknotted, and then I'll talk about what we've got here. Alright, so here's what we're dealing with here. First of all, starting on the right, we have two Norstar M7324 phones, and I've been really wanting to get one of these. It's got 24 programmable keys, which is really awesome. Now, that's less than the M7310's total 34 programmable keys when you count the 12 dual function keys. But unlike the M7310, on the M7324, each programmable key has an LCD indicator for it, so that's very nice. And also, notice the cool shape of this phone. Instead of a square slab like all the other Norstar phones, it's got this shape to it, which is really cool. And it's got 3 soft keys, and then the standard, everything else is standard like every other Norstar phone. Release, feature, hold. And there's the other one. They both have every programmable key is populated. It's got either a normal keycap or a keycap where you can give it a custom label. There's no uncapped buttons, so that's nice. And they're all in English, so that's really nice. And these phones were either heavily used or given a lot of sun exposure in their life. I know they've been given a lot of sun exposure because the custom label keycaps have turned yellow. But nothing else has turned yellow. That line 1 key's got a lot of brown grunge on it. That would be gross human skin oils and stuff. And I noticed most interestingly is that the buttons, like the dial pad here and the volume buttons even, the print has turned purple. My first thought was, wow, they've been used so much that the print is worn off. But I think this might be sun bleaching, rather. So yeah, but yeah, that's very interesting. The print has actually faded to a purple color. But yeah, everything's complete. It looks to be in good shape. The receiver looks fine. Again, a bit dirty. Both of these phones are quite dirty. I think I will completely disassemble these and just give all the plastics a bath. Give all the plastics and all the buttons a good bath and clean everything up. Because I'm comfortable taking one of these apart after, I took apart that M7310 phone. I completely disassembled it on video and washed all the plastics. And it was a pretty easy process. These, I don't think they'd be any more difficult. But yeah, so this one's got a French feature card on it. Quebec is the French-speaking province of Canada. And it's got some writing on here. So I'll be replacing this with an English feature card. I have a couple spare English ones that I can put in. This phone in its original life was on extension 307, so a 3-digit extension means it was probably on a Norstar compact ICS or modular ICS, or possibly an 8x24, but 8x24s by standard, I believe, had 2-digit extension numbers, and then you got a 3-digit extension number if you upgraded the 8x24 with expansion modules to increase its capacity. And if we look at the bottom of the phone, data manufacturer is inconclusive. The phone was provided by Guytel, never heard of them. And see if I can, there, the sticker says September 0102, 2001, 2002. But then over here, there says made in Canada. And right here says 910700, so 1991. But 0700 makes no sense. I don't know if it is a date code or what it is. So maybe 2001 or 2002, maybe 1991. I I don't know if if the phone was manufactured in 2001 or 2002, it would not say. You can see it has the old Northern Telecom logo molded into the case. If this phone was made that recently, it would have the abbreviation Nortel molded onto the case. So I would hazard a guess. Also, this 02D, I believe that means this is revision 2 of the M7324 phone, and the Norstar phones went through like 20 revisions. So if this is revision 2, that would make this a very early revision. So maybe this is a circa 1991 phone. I don't know. There might possibly be clues on the inside that would date to it. I forget if there's any integrated circuits inside that might have date codes on them, but possibly. And then as for the other phone, again, it's quite dirty. I will be disassembling it, complete with buttons. Print is not faded on this, although the custom keycaps are yellowed still. But the dial pad looks good, no faded print. And the other buttons look better as well. And the handset, again, quite dirty. This one does not have a feature card, but it does have the plastic plastic guard for it, which is good. So I can put a feature card in there. And no receiver cord. But like any telephone, Norstar phones use just an ordinary receiver cord that any telephone would use. Northern Telecom rather, sold this particular receiver for 20 years with all of their phones. The Norstar phones, the Meridian 1 phones, and their POTS phones all had this handset. They're all exactly the same part. So any handset cord will work on this. I probably have one already that I can put on there. So yeah, that's these two phones. They're both stock. They have the Meridian branding on them. And this one says all the same stuff. It says September 0102, and it's got a slightly different number here, but it still starts with 91. And this one says 02G for the revision instead of 02D. So once again, possibly 1991. So that's these two phones. So that brings us to these two phones. Now you might be able to tell these two phones are a completely different animal than any other Norstar phone I've shown you. These were the second generation Norstar phones that Northern Telecom introduced in, I believe, the late 90s. These are the Norstar T series phones. So all the ones that I've shown you are the M series phones. These are the T series phones. And they were completely revamped. Still compatible with every Norstar system, with one caveat. Any Norstar system that you use a T-series phone on has to have at least software DR5 or newer. So unfortunately, when I said in the video that I'd be able to test these phones on my system, that's actually wrong. At least I assume I will unfortunately not be able to demonstrate these T-series phones on my system because I'm running older DR2 version software, which doesn't support these. It's too old. I've been in contact with somebody over email who may be able to source me a DR5 software cartridge for my Norstar 6x16 PBX. I really hope he pulls through with that. I would love to be able to upgrade the software, be able to try out these phones, even though I'm not interested in keeping them. I like the older phones much better. But be able to try these out, get the later page tone that I'm extremely familiar with because it's been a part of my entire life. Any store I go into that runs a Norstar system, I really hope we're able to make a deal on that. He can send me a newer software cartridge. But we can at least take a look at these phones. I will try hooking one up and see how it behaves on my system, but I have no idea if it'll work or not. But as you can see, there were a lot of upgrades made. First of all, much curvier design, not only on the phone itself, but for the receiver. The receiver is still a standard telephone receiver. It'll work on one of these older phones and vice versa. but you can see it's quite a bit curvier. I don't like the curvy design, that's why I don't really care for these. Another reason I don't care for these, one other big change they made, is they got rid of the removable keycaps for the programmable keys. And now, like a lot of other telephones, you get just this this removable paper label that you can write or print what it is on it. I'm thinking that these labels may have been printed by Northern Telecom. I'm wondering if maybe they provided a service where if you wanted a function key label printed for your phone and you didn't want to handwrite it, you could just like give them a list of the functions from top to bottom and they'd mail you a nicely printed list here. Because it looks too nice. It wasn't done with a typewriter, and it looks too nice to have been done with a computer printer. So I think this may have been done by Northern Telecom or by Guytel, the provider of these phones. I assume, well, this one doesn't actually have a Guytel label on it like the two older ones do, but you can see it's got Northern Telecom's final name before they went out of business, Nortel Networks. The display pivots. You got the soft keys here. This is the T7316 phone. It's equivalent to the older M7310. The dial pad has been redesigned. It has been taken from the Meridian 1 phones, so the keys are now bigger, more ergonomic compared to the old Norstar keys. And one really neat change, well, first of all, you get a dedicated mute button now, which I really love, because the dedicated mute button means that you can mute the receiver microphone while you're using the receiver. The older Norstar phones, you can't mute the receiver if you're using the receiver, because the hands-free and mute buttons are on one button, so if you were to press hands-free, it would switch to the loudspeaker. But the newer phones have separate mute and hands-free buttons, so you can mute the receiver, and I really like that. It's too bad the older phones don't have that. So that's one really nice change on these T-series phones. The other nice change is there are actually LED indicators for these two buttons, just these two buttons. But yeah, Northern Telecom actually got bold and put LED indicators instead of having LCD indicators for everything. So that's one pretty nice thing. And other than that, they replaced the key labeling with graphic symbols. I don't like that, but I understand why they did it. It's because you don't have to print multiple languages. This button here with the Nortel Networks logo, that's the feature button. Whew. Somebody is calling us. I was wondering when that would ever happen. Well, there you go. You heard these things ring from an outside call right on video, so that was kind of neat. The call wasn't for me. Mom picked it up. I turned on Do Not Disturb, so it won't ring again during this video. So where was I? Yeah, that's pretty much the overview of these international graphic symbols, and no more keycaps, redesigned dial pad, the addition of a dedicated mute button, LED indicators. And this phone was manufactured in, this was when they started putting full manufacture dates, which I like, November or May 2002. T7316, made in Mexico, where the older phones were made in Canada. And, oh, no, sorry, not May or November 2002, May 2004. So this was made in May 2004, and the other phone was also made in May 2004, made in Mexico. So that's pretty much the overview of these T7316 phones. So how about we go over to the system. I'm going to unplug this phone right here, and I'm going to plug in this phone and see if, you know, what it does plugged into my system, which has software that doesn't support these phones because they didn't exist yet. Alright, so I've actually been pleasantly surprised. I plugged the phone in, and it looks like it might actually work. We got a date and time, and something I totally missed until I plugged it in, that's a little LED there. That's a general status LED. Presumably it flashes when the phone's ringing. That's very cool, red LED. So let's see when I lift the handset. Yes, there's a dial tone. Okay. And it's lit up a little arrow there, and it just occurred to me, there's more than just arrows on the status LCD. I see a little receiver icon, and I see some L-shaped thing. I don't know what that is. Does hands-free work? Oh, no, it doesn't. It doesn't even throw an error. Okay. What if I lift the handset? No. So there seems to be partial functionality. Hands-free doesn't work. Oh, mute works. See the LED blinking there. Very cool. Okay. Does the release button work? Yes, it does. Alright. Woo! Okay, the volume's very high on that, so if I press this button, I get intercom through the loudspeaker, but maybe the built-in microphone doesn't work. Also, I may have just made myself look like an idiot, because I'm thinking that maybe this button, it has a headset symbol on it. Maybe it's literally for a headset. It's not a general hands-free button. I just thought of that. Okay, let me, regrettably, I'm going to press this, what I assume is an intercom button again, and turn the volume down. Okay. So is this hands-free? Yeah. Okay, so that's a headset button. Hands-free is actually right here. Oh, okay, excellent. So that doesn't work because we don't have a headset plugged in. So it looks like right now we are getting full functionality. Now if I press Feature Star 0, that gets into the button telling mode where it tells you what button's programmed to what. So if I press this button, that says hands-free. If I press the next one up, that's intercom. That means intercom. That's also intercom. Last number redial. Conference. Auto dial, auto dial, auto dial. So it doesn't seem to have kept the programming of the M7208 phone. So that's page. Group pickup, call forward. Line 2, line 1. Okay, so line 1 and line 2 actually map to line 1 and line 2. That's a speed dial, that's a speed dial, that's a speed dial, and that'll call the white phone. So let me dial the other phone. The other phone's on Do Not Disturb, so it won't ring, but we'll hear the ringing through here. Alright, and yes, that is working. If I turn off Do Not Disturb. Okay. Alright. Does the hands-free built-in microphone work? Oh, you know what? I don't have hands-free enabled. I better turn this down or I'm going to get feedback. And if I press this... it works. Alright. That hangs up. Oh, that's awesome. Now this thing's set really loud, I think. No, not too bad. Alright, let's call it set 31. Ooh, that's really loud. Okay, and you can see the LED. And it works. Alright, hold. Okay, so the call is now on hold. I wish I knew what these other indicators meant. So that is working. Bring it off hold. And release. Okay. Well, what I read is a total lie then. The T-series phones seem to work absolutely fine on older Norstar software. That's excellent. Oh, that's really nice. Great. So there's pretty much nothing else for me to show here. Actually, I can open line 2 and make sure the dial pad works. Yeah. And that, somebody commented on the last video, that is a physical relay opening and closing to do the pulse dialing. It takes the line relay. It's not a separate relay. There's a relay for each line, and it's normally in, idle operation. That relay is closed. When you open a line, the relay opens. That takes the phone off the hook. That physically takes the phone off the hook. Or electrically, it takes the phone off the hook. And pulse dialing is literally just opening and closing the switch hook at a rapid pace, and that's literally what it's doing. And you can do that with any POTS phone. Even if your phone is tone dial, you can simulate pulse dialing by tapping the switch hook. That the switch hook is this button that the receiver rests on. Tap that rapidly the right number of times to simulate pulse dialing a number. I've done it before here, it works. As long as your telephone company supports pulse dialing, which not all of them do anymore. So yeah, that works. Let me do a page. Yeah, so the early page tone still coming out of here, and see if this works. Oh, yeah, it works. I was afraid of that. Okay, so this phone seems to work just fine. Okay. Oh, and by the way, when you open, Norstar is really smart. If you open a line that's pulse dial by default, and you need to switch to tone dialing, for example, you dial into a service that requires you to dial tones to access certain services, pressing pound switches the PBX to tone dial mode. So now you'll see when I dial numbers, there's no clicking. It is now operating in tone dial mode. So that's really smart. So that was something I was worried about. I love having this thing in pulse dial mode so you can hear the relay clicking away when you dial, but I figured, well, if I ever have to dial a service, I'll have to use another phone. Nope, I can use this thing and just hit pound to switch to tone dialing. Because pulse dial phones, rotary phones, they don't have star or pound, but tone dial phones always do. So hitting pound obviously tells the system to switch to tone dial. Also, I notice here, it makes the key beep even when it's on the hook, which the older phones don't. So the phone does seem to have a minor amount of intelligence, being able to do things that the older Norstar phones don't on the same PBX. So yeah, that's very, very cool. So there's a demonstration of a Norstar T7316 phone. Very cool. So there's a look at the Norstar T7316 phones, the newer generation of Norstar phones. And of course there were several other T-series phones as well. Pretty much one for each of the original Norstar phones. And yeah, although I don't like the modern curvy design and the graphic buttons, these are neat in their own right, and I think I will keep one. I'll keep one and I'll sell the other. And actually, someone on YouTube in my last video has already expressed interest in buying both of these from me. I think I'll keep one, so I'll sell one of these to him if he wants one. This phone appears to be missing both the label and the plastic insert for these two sets of feature buttons, which is too bad. This one appears to be complete. They're both a little bit dirty, but not too bad, and they're not faded like the older phones are. That one's got a bit of grossness on the release key. So yeah, I'll keep the best one of these. Of course, I haven't tested this yet, but I'll assume it works just fine, but I'll test it at a later time. And yeah, there's your look at the newer generation phones. So I'll keep one of these and sell the other rather, and I'll give that guy first chance. If he still wants it, I'll probably give him this one that's missing some of the parts, if he still wants it. Let's just quickly plug one of these phones in and make sure that it works. Alright, so there's this one plugged in, and it's come to life. Seems to be fine so far. Handset, got a dial tone, arrow indicator is working. Let's do a feature star 0 and see what the buttons are automatically programmed as. That's hands-free, that's intercom, voice call, group pickup, do not disturb, transfer conference, save number, last number redial, speed dial, call forward, blank, 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 line 2, line 1. Okay. Now, I'm going to prepare for this being super loud, but see how loud the loudspeaker is. Oh, that goes down really quiet. That's nice. Let's call the other phone. Okay. Does the hands-free microphone work? Oh, gotta turn hands-free on. Oh, just barely starting to feedback, but yes, it works. Now, I'm prepared for the ringer on this one to be super loud. Wow, the speaker on this gets really quiet. I really like that. Yeah, receiver works just fine. Awesome. How loud's the page tone on this, I wonder? Yeah, not very loud. I really like that. Test the dial pad here. Open line 2. Alright, perfect. Hold. Hold is working. Alright, this phone checks out just fine. Awesome. Alright, and I figure before we end the video, let's take a look at what we got for spare keys. I really love that I have a big number of spare keys now. I'll be able to put keys on phones that I've previously needed custom keys for, because I didn't have enough. That is a good number of keys, and seems to be a good mix of line keys and function keys. So, there's quite a few custom keys here. Green custom keys too, which I really like. I've never had any green custom keys. They're for making custom line labels. So that's a custom, custom. Let me go through, sort all these, and then we'll come back. Take a look at this. This is a incorrectly manufactured green custom key. That's very interesting. Take a look at that. You can see the green spreads to the front, and it looks all crappy on this side. Wow, that's very interesting. A very, absolutely wrongly manufactured key. This appears to be all manufacturing error. That's neat. This key's garbage, but that's very interesting to come across that nonetheless. I've never seen a Northern Telecom part with a manufacturing error. Well, I just finished counting 221 keys, so I was pretty spot on with that guess there. Plus that one key that was malformed, which I threw in the garbage. A big pile of green custom keys, a big pile of gray custom keys, not as big of a pile. Lots of function keys for every function in the Norstar library, pretty much. And then a few line keys, which disappointingly, I need a line 1 and line 2 key for that phone, which I actually made custom line 1 and line 2 keys for with my typewriter. Not a single line 1 or line 2 key. Although, I'm not going to put both of these phones into service, so I can steal the line 1 and line 2 from one of these phones and use it for that phone. And all these keys are in English, but a few of these line keys are in French. It looks like we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 French keys. And I'm never going to need all these custom keys, especially custom line keys, or the custom gray keys. I'll seldom need these, so I might in the future pull the French keys and some of these keys into a lot to sell on eBay or to somebody who needs them for cheap. But here's the nice thing though, and I can't forget this. Somebody on a Facebook group I'm on, Vintage and Antique Telephones is the name of the group. I post Norstar stuff there occasionally, even though it's kinda sorta not what the group's about. The group's about like actual really old antique phones, like rotary phones and stuff. Although some people there do enjoy my Norstar posts. But someone on that group messaged me and offered to send me a ton of spare keys they have. They told me they have thousands of spare Norstar keycaps because they used to administer a Norstar system. And they said they have thousands of spare keycaps and they're going to send me a whole bunch of them for free. Plus, and I told this guy not to do this, but he did it anyway. I almost feel bad. He bought 3 brand new Norstar literature packs, and he's sending me those as well. And it's just, oh my god, I can't believe it. So yeah, if he watches this video, thank you so much. Your spare keys, even though I've got a lot of spare keys now, yours are definitely going to come in handy because I think he's including some release keys, some hold keys, and some line 1 and line 2 keys. So those are going to come in handy. Plus, and then there's the brand new Norstar literature packs on top of that. So I really am flattered. He did not have to go that far and send me like $30 worth of Norstar literature packs, or like $10 each on eBay. In addition to probably, if I have to guess based on what he's messaged me, he's probably sending me a few hundred of his spare keycaps. So yeah, really nice of that person. I really appreciate it. And when those come in, I'll show them in a video as well. The vast majority of these keys look brand new. They don't look like they've been used. A couple of them have some discoloration, but the rest of them look brand new. The line keys, some of the line keys look used, but the rest of them also look brand new. And some of the custom keys, actually, I don't see any of the custom green keys that look like they've been used. I see some gray custom keys that have obviously been used. But yeah, if I had to guess, these keys were probably just spares that came with literature packs. Probably each one of these phones in their original life came with its own literature pack and nobody ever needed them, or only needed a few buttons from them. So whenever this business, let's assume these 4 phones all came from the same business, that's a good possibility. Either when the business went out of business or they upgraded from a Norstar system to a newer system, they just took all the literature packs and just took all the buttons from them and threw them into a Ziploc bag. So yeah, really nice. I'll never have to make any custom keys for Norstar functions. And hopefully the keys that guy's sending me, I'll have some line 1 and line 2 keys so I won't have to make custom keys for them. So yeah, there's all the keys, 221 of them, holy crap. Well, there's an unboxing and test of the 4 Norstar phones that I bought for $26 US. Really great score. I'm really glad to get these. I've always wanted an M7324 phone for my system. And it's really cool to get to try out the T7316 phones, even though I'm not a particular fan of the newer Norstar phones. But yeah, 4 phones, 2 of them tested just fine, 221 buttons, And yeah, it's going to be great. So one of these phones will be hooked up to my system, and I'll be keeping the other one as a spare. I'll probably give both of these a really good bath, disassemble them, give them a bath, and I'll keep one of these phones and possibly give it a bath, and then I will sell the other one. And yeah, I don't think I have a reason to keep all these keys, so I might get rid of some of these at some point too. But there you go, more videos to come in this series. I'm really enjoying it, really glad I picked it up again. In the next series, we'll finally explore some more advanced features of the Norstar and when and how to use them. So look out for that. And until then, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.